Today we are going to code this beautiful looking web development agency website. It is totally unique design, it is mobile first, and it's fully responsive. I think actually it's a perfect project for your portfolio, or could even be a new start in your life, like creating a web development agency. Who doesn't want more money or more freedom? So to be honest, I created this website for myself, for my own agency, and decided to share the process. In general, the design is totally unique and the code is high quality and actually production ready. And I'm sure that you will learn one or two things in this video. We will use trending tech in the job market. It includes Next.js, TypeScript and Tailwind. And not just Next.js, but modern Next.js that is server-side first. We will also use popular Next.js features but a bit complicated, like server actions, middleware, and internationalization that your app can be seen by the whole world. We will create server-side contact form. Also, the app will have multi-language selector, and what is cool that all the languages are handled on the server. And this means that it doesn't bloat the client side. Enough said. Let's get to coding. First thing we want to do is create our project. I'll create it in desktop and px create next app. Let's call it stash codes 2. TypeScript yes, ESLint yes, Tailwind yes, source no, app router yes, and here no. So basically all default settings. So now the project is created. Let's target our project. Write code dot. It should open VS Code. Okay, so first thing I want to do is do some cleanup. This one. Layout, let's change metadata, she codes, web dev agency. For this project we're gonna use Nunito Sans. Good. And in globals, CSS, I want to delete everything and copy some styles. So these styles you're gonna find in GitHub repo, don't worry. Also, I want to copy public folder. Okay, so now we have public folder, all the assets needed for our project. So one thing I like to do in app directory in new Next.js is to create a folder and use grouping functionality. It's created like this, parenthesis, I will call it home. So now I'm able to move home page to this folder and have all the things needed for home page in this folder. Here I will create modules, and inside modules I will have all the sections needed for home page. So let's start with the hero section. I use shortcut for React component, RAFC. Okay, and we can start. So let's create our wrapper. Give some background color. Oops. Let's wrap this inside container. And now I'm gonna use grid because I want 2 columns on desktop and 1 on mobile. Class 1. Okay, so GitHub Copilot reads me pretty well. Okay, so in first column, I want to have our texts, and in second column we will have our image. Here let's use H1. So I have all the texts, so I just gonna copy them. Let's add some margin. Okay, so now we added paragraph under main text, and of course we need button. And actually we're gonna create a folder outside app for components. And here, let's create button. So for now, let's make it very simple and just return a button. So we can use it here now. And for second div, I want to use next image. Source will be mockup.png, alt mockup. Okay, so we're gonna use responsive Next.js image. So here we need to define width, which will be 100%, and the height of auto. Okay, so now we can see how it actually looks. And of course we don't see anything because we didn't add this component in our page. So let's add it here. Okay, so looks like we have to define width and height. Okay, so now we have really bad looking hero section, but at least we have something already. And what I want to do now is to change Tailwind config a little bit. So here I'm going to add some colors. So these three colors will be used a lot inside the project, and just added them for convenience. Now let's go back to hero section. I want to make professional green color. So I will add a span. Just like that. I want all text to be white. So I will add text white for all the section. And I want this first sentence to be bold. Let's also change button color. Background green. And now I want to change the background color of the whole section. And we're gonna use our custom color also from Tailwind config. Okay, so now we have kind of decent looking hero section already. I will reuse this image structure a lot, so I want to isolate this component. Let's call it image isolated. And just copy this one. Let's provide source and alt. And both will be of strings. Okay. Image I. And now we can use it like that. So in business, trust is very important. So let's add some happy clients badge. It will be stars inside div of flex item center. Let's add some gap of 2 and margin. And now we can map an empty array. So array. So give a number you want to map. And here I'm gonna map our image. Source will be star.png, alt star. Width height 2020, and index we cannot use just index as key. So let's use star and then index, like that. So now we see that we have stars, and now we can wrap this in a separate div, which will also be flex, and add a paragraph. Just remove justify center and remove margin bottom here, and let's add margin bottom here. So text small, font bold. Let's add a bit of gap. Let's use a bit different text. And let's make it green. Okay, so now we have pretty decent hero section. We're gonna come back a bit later, add navigation, also fix button, and add link to it. So let's create a new section called our focus. Here I have C shortcuts to create component. Start from section. Let's add some background color, which is gonna be light gray, and padding of 8 and padding of 16 on desktop. Let's add container. Let's make separate div for our title and description. So we're gonna center text. Also we want to put some margin. H2 gonna be our focus. Let's add some margin here. Our focus I want to make green, like this. Let's add the description. Let's remove this. Let's add some max width, 6XL. Now I'm gonna copy array of features. So we're gonna have image, title, and description. All of this you can find in GitHub repo and just copy. Let's import our images. So branding image from public branding PNG. And let's do the same with all others. Now I want to create element with grid, which will be grid calls 1 on mobile and grid calls 3 on desktop. Here like this. And with gap of 4. Now I want to map features. So yeah, our card will be pretty simple. It will have image, title, and description. Image will be wrapped inside a block with gradient color. So let's add key first. Let it be description. And here, background white, padding of 4, rounded LG, and shadow SM. Oh, for some reason doesn't close automatically. Okay, never mind. Now let's create block for image, a wrapper. Padding of 4. Background gradient to right, and then from green to blue, and rounded LG. Close. Let's use image from next, like this, and also add width and height of 24. Okay, so let's add this section to our homepage so we can see what we're doing. Okay. Now h3 class name. Let's add some vertical margin. Okay. Now let's add description. So since our description has some elements like break or bold. So we're gonna use dangerously set inner HTML. HTML feature title. Now we can just close like that. Oops, this encryption. Okay, so already looks good. Let's change this to inline block so our icon block doesn't stretch all the way. And here I want to use a bit different color so it doesn't look so strange. Yeah, so I hard-coded this color because I know that I am not gonna use this color anymore in the whole project, so there is no point to define it somewhere. Okay, so now we have a pretty decent section. So let's add button, call to action, and let's wrap it inside flex, justify center, and button. Okay, let's add some margin. Okay, and our section looks pretty good. Actually, let's fix our button. Let's install React icons first. Now make a button flex. Let's add some gap. Span. Contact us. And then arrow right. Okay. Items center. And yeah, now it looks a bit better. Let's make the text a bit larger. Maybe even more. Okay. Let's do like this. And text large on mobile. Let's make it full width on mobile. And let's center horizontally. Okay, looks a bit better. Okay, so now we have two pretty decent sections, and of course we're gonna create some more. So our next section will be presenting our work, basically portfolio with projects. Here I will copy projects array data. Okay, so here also we start with section, class name background dark, then py8 and py16 on large devices. Of course, we're gonna have our container as always. And here we're gonna have title, our work. Let's make work green. Let's center it and put some margin. And now I want to create a grid of 2 columns on large devices and 1 column on mobile. Grid calls sorry, 1 and grid calls 2 and gap 4. Okay. Okay, so I turned off GitHub Pilot as it started to be a little bit annoying for this tutorial. So, okay, I want to map projects first. Map project. And we'll have a wrapper. Let's keep it simple. So, p.title. And okay, first thing it will have will be title. Let's use h3, project title. Let's add some margin of 2. Now I want to import images. Now I want to import images. Let's add images to array. So this will be image of project. And here is image of person. And doing the same here. Okay, so now we can use our image isolated component and add image. Okay, here we get error. So let's change the type of source to static image data. Okay, and now the error is gone. So let's import it in our page, our work. Good. Let's add text white to the whole section. Okay, let's center our title. Let's add some margin. Now I want to map these stats and show what has improved after updating or creating a website. So let it be flex with justify between and some gap. Project stats, map, stat. Okay, so just div, add key, description, and here gonna be h4 class name, and then text green, and then s.value, some small margin, and in the bottom will be the description. Description. Let's try to center it. Text center. Let's make this bold. Font bold. Okay. I want this a bit bigger, so let's make it to H3. And also let's add some margin top to this one. Okay, and already looks pretty good. Here I think I want a little bit more padding or gap, sorry. And okay, so now we can add review. And this will be our review block. And this will be our top block. And bottom block for text. Here let's add italic, and for upper block let's have it as flex, have some gap, and here I want picture. Let's use next image, source, project review image, and then add fill. Okay, we want it rounded full. And then overflow, hidden. Let's add border white. No, looks a bit better. Let's center this block. Okay, so near image I want to add name and also position. So another div. So name, let's add some margin. Then we're gonna add position. Let's center this block. Okay, good. Let's make a bit smaller margin. Font bold on position. Okay, looks pretty decent. Also, let's add some margin here. Thing here. Like this. And also some margin from the top. A bit more. So let's now center this text. Let's add some more margin to the title. And okay, basically we have our work section with our projects. Also, let's add some border to our image. So let's wrap it in a div. Class name border 2 and then border green. Okay, actually let's try bigger border. Rounded LG. Okay, now looks good. And now lastly we can add our button here and some margin. Okay, so let's go to the next section. And next section I want to create is frequently asked questions. And this will not be regular section, it will include accordion that we will create. So, but let's start as usual. Section, class name, background will be light gray. py8 and then py16. So div class container mx auto px4. Then it's gonna have title on the FAQ. Let's actually make this container smaller. So 6XL. Let's try this. Let's wrap our title and description in different div and give it text center. Now class name like this, and now description. Okay, let's give margin bottom 8 to the text div. Let's put it into our page and see how it looks for now. Okay, just as expected. So now is the interesting part. I want to create accordion component. And for this, I will use components folder. So I want to create folder called accordion. And the reason I am creating folder is because I will have multiple files in it. So it will be accordion itself and then accordion item. So let's first create accordion. So accordion will be simply wrapped inside fragment. And accordion takes in questions. It will be question string, answer also string, and array. So now I want to map these questions. And return accordion item, which we don't have yet, but soon gonna create it. Okay, so for now good, and now let's create accordion item component. So here we're gonna use state. Let's call it is open and set is open. It will be used to toggle our accordion item. Use state. It will be false by default. And since this component is using useState hook, we have to declare it as a client component. Let's also create a function, toggle is open. and it will just do that. Okay. Now we can start styling our accordion component. So some padding, background white, shadow small, rounded LG, also cursor pointer. Now I want another div with flex, which is justified between and centered vertically. So first I will have h5 with question, and question I will get from props. And answer I will also get from props. Now I want a collapse icon. So if is open, then we want to collapse. And else we want to expand. Okay, let's see. So let's import our accordion item here. So let's pass our question. So question, question, and answer, answer. And another way we can do it is just to spread the props, just like that. It's kind of destructuring your object into the component, and then it passes all the props. Now let's go to our main component section and accordion, import accordion. And of course now our accordion is missing questions. Again, I'm just copying the questions array to save your time, and you can find it in GitHub repo. Questions, and let's see how it looks. Okay, and it looks pretty decent, but we need to add our functionality. So here let's add on click and toggle is open, and also here I want to add color. Okay, so now it's green. Okay, I want to add some gap here, and now we can display our answer if it is open. Now class name text gray 500 and margin top 2. Okay, it looks not bad. So last thing I want to add is caption at the bottom of this component. Let's go to accordion, and here I want to add caption. Okay, let's center it. Let's change color. So margin top a little bit more. Add link here, which will be to our contact section that we're gonna create a little bit later. And here we can also add style. Well, just let's make it green and font bold. And yeah, looks good. Okay, so now we're gonna create this contact section. So on the left will be some text, and on the right will be form. So we're gonna use modern way to use forms in Next.js. And okay, let's begin. So for this, I will create a folder again, contact us, and this will have a main component, contact us, and then it will have components folder, and here will be contact us details, and another will be contact us form. Okay, so let's start from main page. So as always, let's start with section. Let's add container. Now let's add a div, which will be grid. One column on mobile and 2 columns on large screens. It will have a gap of 8. Okay, so first will be contact us details, and another will be contact us form. So let's start from contact us details. So first we're gonna have image. Also, let's put our component to our page. Source. Then let's add width of 40 and height of 40. Okay, let's make it bigger. Rounded full. Then border white. Let's add border 2. Also, let's go to our main section and add text white. So all our texts are white. So let's add some margin in the bottom. And now we're gonna have H3, which will say talk to our programming expert. Okay, I think margin can make smaller. Now I want to make this text green. Let's add some margin. Now we will have some text. So first paragraph, and I will add some breaks and the rest of the paragraph. Let's make this part bold and this part bold. Now I need this happy clients badge, but we already used it at the top. So what we can do is to extract it to a component. So let's go to our hero section, and here we have it. I think like this. No. Like this. Then let's go our base components, and let's call it happy clients badge. I wanted to write com. Okay, RAFC. And now we can try to reuse it. Okay, and in this page, clients badge. Okay, do we have some margin here? Let's remove margin. Okay, hero. Let's add some margin here. Let's go back to our component. Actually, I made interesting mistake is that my wrapper of this whole contact us form and contact details is grid, and for this I use 2 components inside of it. And the thing is that since I didn't provide a div here or just a fragment, I have this spacing here, and when I add div here, it should be okay. Yeah, and it is. So let's fix our spacings now a little bit. And okay, and let's put some spacing here. More. Okay, so not Not bad. Not bad. As for front-end developer. Okay, now let's try to create our form. Yeah, some shadow, some background. Yeah, let it be for now. Now we can start adding input blocks. Some spacing between label and input. So label will be extra bold. First will be name. Then input will have name, which will be equal to name. Type text. And then required. Okay, let's add some styling to input so it's visible. So full width, padding 4. Let's say 2. Then background light gray. Let's see how it looks. Okay, rounded LG, and also our form should be rounded LG. And text of the form should be black. Good. So we can copy. Now let's change company and name also company. We can copy once again. Just email this time. Email, and here also email on type. And last thing we want to do is change here input to text area. Change name to message. And name message here. Okay, and it looks pretty decent, I would say. To handle form, we're gonna use form state hook. So first it is state, and then form action equal use form state. Here we're gonna pass our function that we're gonna create a little bit later. And here we're gonna pass message, initial message. So this message will come from response. Let's rename the function to send message. Let's go to app folder and create actions.ts. Here declare use server. Also let's install Zod. Zod will be used for server-side validation of form. Okay, now let's start creating our send message function. Okay, and now we can create a schema for validation, and for this we use Zod. So Z object, and now we can create our object. Okay, so here is the names of input names. Here I just want to add some more validation. It will be minimum 1 character. And yeah, so these are names of contact us form inputs. Here is name, company, email, and message. Okay, now we need to parse it. Schema.save parse. Now name form data. Form data. Get name. But we need this form data. So for this, we have to define arguments. So first argument will be previous state, which will be of type message, which is string. And then we're gonna have form data, which is form data. Okay, and now we can do the same with the rest. Now we need to check if it parses successfully. And here we send object with message, failed to send message. If it parsed successfully, we can extract data. So here we have access to company name, email, and message. Okay, and now we can wrap all this inside try catch block. So here we send message, failed to send message, or let's change it to something different. Something went wrong. And then if success, we send message, message sent successfully. Okay, so now we go to our contact form and okay, so looks like everything is okay. And so now we can pass action to our form. And action will be form action. And now we need a button to submit the form. Let's use our button. Okay, let's now declare it as client component. Okay, now the error is gone. Now if send message function returns some message, we need to check if message is truthy and then return a message. It won't necessarily be error message because we send message on success too. So here we have to add not server only. So our message is displayed. And here we add aria live polite. Let's add some empty promise. Okay. Okay, now we get a message. Now you might be wondering how do we handle loading state. So for this we need to create separate component. Let's call it submit button. Let's display button. And here we're gonna have access to a status of request. So we can use form status and then extract pending from it, which is boolean. And now we can, okay, now we need to modify our button a bit. Let's do it like this, interface button props and just extends button HTML attributes like this. Now let's add type here, button props. And in this way we pass all REST attributes for button. So now if we go here, we should be able to access disabled, and disabled will be equal to pending. So if it's pending, it's disabled, and so on. Also, let's add some style if it is disabled. Oh, I forgot that I didn't add submit button. So yeah, replacing submit button with button. And in this case, as long as submit button is child of form that takes form action, so this component will have access to the state of the request using use form status. And yeah, now it is disabled and we see the message. Okay, good. Okay, so now we have a functional form, and last section I want to make is our process. Also, we're gonna come back to this form. We're gonna add resend later. Also, we're gonna change color of this message and size if it is successful or if it is error message. So now let's go to our last section. So let's call it our process. This here I have array of items. As always, starting with section, class name, background, dark. It will be py8 md py16 and text also white. So first title. Let's make this green. Let's add some margin here. Oops, 8. And this will be a div with grid, 1 on mobile, and 4 on desktop with gap of 4. Oops, let's add MD here. Okay, and now we can map through steps. Map, step. So div. So adding step key here, and okay, so here we're gonna have our step, which will be, let's say, h5. Let's add some base styles to it. p4, rounded LG, and let's add it to the page. Okay. Let's add background on black. Let's add some more padding, I think. Less padding. Okay, good. Let's make this green. Add margin. Let's add title. Now just description. Okay, let's add more margin. And let's change text color here. Let's try text dark. It will be too dark. Text gray 500. Oh, I forgot also container. Just like that. And here we can center our title. Okay, so now we have pretty decent website. So let's create navigation and footer. They will be very, very simplistic. So let's go to components, navigation, like that. Then let's go and create logo. This I want to be flex, item center, gap 2. Image source logo.png, logo, and here just text, font black, and size SM. Let's import the image. Okay, and in navigation, here I want to have a wrapper of background dark and padding on the top. Also, I want to add it to container. Now I want header, which will be flex justify between an item center, correct. And now I want to import logo and import button. So now let's see, let's go to layout. Let's add navigation here and see how it looks. Let's go to navigation and add horizontal padding to container. Also, actually, let's go to logo and add text white and add rounded to logo. Now, another thing I want to do is to create a footer. Now, what we can do is to create footer. Just like this. Here, let's add dynamic date. Okay, and let's go to layout, footer component, see how it looks. Here, just let's change text color. Gray 500. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Okay, so that's it. And now we are left with the task to fix the missing spots. So adding links to buttons, adding correct padding, spacing, and also very important parts like adding resend into our form. Also, we're gonna add multi-language. So we're gonna use 2 languages on this project and we're gonna see how to do it. First, before adding multi-language functionality, I want to fix everything so it is fully ready. So let's see how it looks on desktop. Okay, here we can go to hero and center items. Center on MD should be good. Okay, and next thing we want to do is fix title here. For some reason it went out. Okay, I think this container, so we need to add mx auto. Okay, and now it's good. Here we want to center the button. So button, let's wrap it inside flex, justify center, and button. Next thing I see here, we need to add some gap to our FAQ items. Let's wrap this inside div and add class name of grid and gap of 4. Okay, so will be MD and gap on mobile will be 2. Okay, now it looks better. So I want to make this and these sections smaller. So let's see our focus. We're gonna need to change the width of container. Let's try 6XL. Okay, looks good. Let's go to contact us. Also max with 6XL. Also looks good. And also let's go to our process. Find container and add max width 6XL. Okay, not bad. Maybe let's make the title smaller. 4. And here I want to change the title to a little bit bigger. Us details. Let's try H2. Okay, now a bit better. Let's add more margin. Okay, also I want to center this button. Like this. Okay, now it's centered. Okay, so looks good. And now we can add links to buttons. Let's close all the things that we have here. Okay, so let's wrap this inside link. Just like that. Also, let's give our contact form ID, which will be contact. Okay, add link, and let's check if it works. Okay, so it redirects to the form, which is good. Let's do the same for navigation. Okay, and let's do the same for our focus. Our work. Here is okay, here is okay, and here is okay. So now we can check all the buttons, see if they work. Good. Good. And good. And also good. Okay, so next steps are adding Resend and also adding multi-language select button. Now we're gonna add Resend, so when user fills the form, we can receive email. So go to resend.com, sign in. Then when you log in, you see the screen. Go to API keys, create API key. I'll call it API key. Full access, all domains. Now copy it and go to our project and create env.local. Call it resend API key and paste your key here. Then go to actions. Let's install resend package. npm install resend. Okay, now we should be able to initialize. So new resend process env resend API key. Okay. Now we can remove this fake promise. Fake promise, fake promise. Been there, done that. I'm just gonna copy the request. So I'm using resend.emails.send. So object contains from to subject and HTML keys. HTML, how the email should look, subject, and to where the email should go. And also here I'm writing from whom, so which company. And here you have to add this resend email for it to work. Okay, so now I added my email and I will test it. Okay, so looks like everything works fine. Also know that you only can use the email that you used while registering in Resend. So this is very important. And yeah, let's now check how to edit our message. So if success, it's green and nice. If it's error, it is red and ugly. Okay, now what I want to do is that when we send our request, our message would come green or red. So for this, I'm gonna compare messages basically. First, I want to create a utils folder. Here I will create a file called response messages. And here I'm gonna export one const response messages. So this is failed, and then success message sent successfully, and then last one already sent. Okay, so first I want to go to our form, and here I want to change something. So add template literal, and then if state message equals to response messages success, then we show text green, and else we show text red. 500. So yeah, now if the response is success, we're gonna show just green, and in 2 other variants, if it's error or we already sent message, it will show red. So let's go to actions. So here in the beginning, I want to add additional div. So if prev state message equals responses messages success, or prev state message or equals already sent, then I want to return a message of already sent. In other cases, here I want to send responses failed, here success, and here failed again in catch block. Okay, so let's test it out. Okay, if we're gonna try send it again, yeah, so we're gonna show that message already sent, which is good, expected. And let's now refresh, and let's try throw new error. And now that. Okay. Okay, so looks like everything is working fine. Nice. And yeah, here we have a form, a simple form with validation, which is server side and also resend implementation. So last thing I want to do is to fix all these buttons so they are on mobile stretched, and on desktop it's like that in the center. So let's see what we can do. First, what we can do is to add md v auto, and by default full width. This will fix some places. Okay, but now if we see on desktop, so we're gonna have a problem because it's not centered. So we're still gonna need to control each separately. So for that, let's go to our focus section. Let's wrap it in div, flex, define center. Okay, now it looks good. Let's add some margin top 4. Okay, let's go to another section and let's do the same, our work like that, like this. Let's check. Okay, good. And this is our form. So in our form we want it a bit different. Contact us form. We want it inside button, but we want to remove margin. And that only on MD. Okay, now looks everything is fine. I want to do just one more small thing in hero section. On mobile, I want to move this image in the top. So for it to be a little bit easier, I will move this badge outside container like this. Here I will add some margin. So I'm gonna use order command to achieve it. So on mobile, it will be order 2, and on large, it will be order 1. And opposite here. So order 1 on mobile, and then order 2 on desktops. Okay, now looks much better. Let's add some more spacing just here. and also smaller gap in happy clients batch. And last thing I want to add is internationalization. This functionality is provided by Next.js. So we're just gonna basically use documentation and see how it works in practice. But for now we have two languages and it works very fast, very smooth. So we're gonna create this language switcher also with simple routing for now. And we're gonna use middleware, we're gonna use directories for languages, JSONs. We're gonna convert the JSONs to TypeScript also. So this part will be interesting and we will not go deep into details, just surface understanding will be enough for this tutorial. So first thing I want to do is to create a file called i18n config.ts. Here I want to create a constant called i18n, and then I will define locales I want to use in my project. So it will be en and lt, and default locale it will be en. Also in the same file I want to export type locale, which will be union type, either en or lt. Now next thing I want to do is to create middleware file. Here I want to import next request and next response from next server. Also I want to install a few packages. Also we can import our i18n config. The first package I want to install is a locale matcher from intl. Okay, and second package I want to install is negotiator. Now we can import match, which we call match locale. And the second thing I want to import is negotiator. Let's install types for it. Okay, good. Now I want to create a function called get locale. It will have parameter from next request. Also, it will either return a string or undefined. First thing I want to do is to create negotiator headers. It will be a empty object of type record string. Now I want to map the headers and extract the headers to our negotiator headers. Like this. Okay, now our negotiator headers object contains the information about language that we need. Now let's get our locales. And now we will use two functions that will give us the best locale that user wants. So we call new negotiator. Yep, so headers, and here we provide the negotiator headers and languages and our locales. And now we can use a match locale function to get the best locale. So first provide languages, then all possible locales, and now provide default language. And here simply return locale. So now I'm gonna add also config and export it. So this makes sure that middleware ignores all the paths provided here. You can check more about this in Next.js internationalization documentation. And now we're gonna create our middleware function. First thing I want to do here is to get path name. Now we need to check if locale is missing in our path name. And then let's add one more check. And now the last thing we need to do, check if locale is missing. Then we get our locale. And here basically if locale is missing, so we're gonna return next response and we're gonna basically redirect so to locale. And here I need to add a check. So if path name starts with a slash, then I want to return just empty string, and otherwise I want to return slash. And lastly, we want to add path name. Oops, path name. And second argument, we're gonna add rec.url. And all this we're gonna need to wrap inside a new URL. So now very important thing we need to do, let's close all the files, terminal, and let's go to app and create a new folder, ..lang. And now let's select all the files except actions and move to lang folder. Should be good now. So in short, this will let Next.js provide dynamic language to our every page where we're gonna need it. And now if we're gonna go to our home page, we should be able to access our lang. So now we should be able to access the languages that will come as array of strings. Let's define home props params, and inside will be lang, which will be string array of strings. Like this, and let's check if we have it. Okay, so here we have already array with a string. Good. Next thing we want to do is to create a dictionaries folder with our languages JSONs. So it will be en JSON, and then I will start with home. It will be my page, and then section, and then let's say I will have title and subtitle. I'm gonna do the same for another file, call it lt, and just use different text. Next thing we need to do is to create get dictionary file in the root. Here I am importing server only, so this will run only on server. And now I want to asynchronously get my dictionaries. And now we're gonna create a get dictionary function. It will be async. And now we're gonna get our preferred language, dictionaries, locale. And run it. And else, if something goes wrong, we're gonna run English. Let's export it. And here we can get our dictionary. Lang, and since it's array, let's select first item from array. And here let's pass tuple of locale. Let's log our dictionary. Okay, another thing we need to do is to add async and await here. And now we get our texts. So for example, let's go to hero. Let's add interface hero props. So we'll pass title, which will be a string, and subtitle. which will also be a string. So now we can extract. Oops, subtitle. Let's comment this for now and let's pass title. And also here. Subtitle. Now let's go to page and provide those. So if we refresh, we're gonna see our title and subtitle, which is already very good. But here we have a few problems. So our default title includes a element of span and also class. So what we can do is to copy it. Let's go to our en file. Let's paste it. And here instead of class name, we're gonna use class, and here we need to escape for JSON. So we add slashes here, and then we can go back to hero. Let's uncomment it. Let's actually delete it. Now we can use dangerously set inner HTML and HTML, then title. Okay, now we can see that our title is visible and everything is good. But in general, dangerous set inner HTML, the name is like that, not without a reason. So we need to use a purify function for it. For this, we're gonna use isomorphic DOM purify package. So let's install it. Now I want to go to utils folder and create purify.ts. And here I want to export one function called purify. It will be string. And then I'm gonna return this function. And here string. And now what we can do is go back to the hero section and wrap this title inside purify. And since we also used dangerous set inner HTML in a few places, let's go back and replace there too. Okay, good. Okay, now we're gonna create a language selector so we can switch between our languages. So let's go to components, language selector. I will declare use client because we're gonna use it only on client, and then lang. We'll have lang of string. Let's get router. Import use router from next navigation. Also, we're gonna need a path name. Use path name also from next navigation. And now we're gonna create a very simple select. So first div class name. We need inline block and also relative. Now we're gonna have select with value of lang. And then we're gonna have two options of value en and also of value elta. I'm using these flags that I just copied from internet. Let's add our selector into navigation. Let's wrap our button inside a div. Also, let's give it a flex and center items. Let's put some gap, and here we can use our language selector. Okay, so something is already visible. So let's add a lang here. So it's gonna receive lang of string. Let's provide this lang. Now let's style this select a little bit. So border green, then rounded, LG, and padding 4. Let's put smaller padding. Also for border color to work, we need to add border. Let's add background transparent. Let's add appearance of none, and also remove outline on selection. Focus, outline, none. So this removes ugly border. Now we need to create on change function, handle language change. Let's create it. First we need to select event. And now actually Copilot provides us everything that we need. Let's just put some spacing. So first we get the value of event, and then when user changes the language, so inside path name we replace our current language with new language, and then we just push to the new URL. Now what we need to do is to go to layout, here add params, and here we're gonna add locale like this. Here we're gonna get the language, and here we're gonna provide the locale. So let's check if it works now. And of course it doesn't work. So after some time of debugging, I found out that I need to remove these slashes. Yeah, and now it works fine. And that's it. The result is that we have pretty nice and functional website. Also we use Next.js, all modern features. Our app is server-side first. We use server actions, we use server-side translations, so it means that the JSONs can be whatever size. It doesn't impact performance. Oh yeah, some cool stuff. In the future we can add more functionality, and we're gonna do that like adding blog or something else. So if you like this tutorial, if you learned something, feel free to subscribe, like or comment. I will be very happy about that and become part of the community, so I can become better and we can become better all together. So thank you for watching and goodbye.